So Six Nations then around the corner. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So presumably win our 2 Grand Slams in the meantime ahead of the next World Cup and all that. So New Zealand are the best team in the world, and then where are we? We've got this All Blacks of Europe thing being thrown at us this year a bit.
Well, you know what? There's no doubt that New Zealand have been pulled back into closer to the chasing group over the course of the last year.
Yeah.
Starting with Ireland beating them for the first time. You saw what Scotland did to them a couple of weeks ago, or last week in Murrayfield, that they could have snatched their first victory against them, losing a game and drawing one to the Lions. Not as convincing as previous showings against Wales, beaten by Australia. So all of a sudden, that infallible New Zealand team, I don't think quite have that title at the minute. But they'll probably say that we're in the middle of a cycle, and they used to get in the habit of peaking at this time between World Cups and then not being able to get it done.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I think it's a counter argument there, Brian. I think too that they've always gone out to win the next game, and what's happened to them is they've got caught at World Cups, where I think Hansen has taken a step back. They've won the World Cup in 11. They've won the last one. Hansen is saying, okay, I'm going to roll the dice a little bit here, and there will be stick if we lose because we're the All Blacks. But they've had a lot of injuries at the moment. They've bring a lot of guys through the system. They've tried guys out here and there. They've lost guys overseas. So they are in mid-cycle. And I think, they're definitely closer to the pack. I think if they arrive next year and the same thing happens a year out of the World Cup, that would prove it. But I hold my fire on that one, see where they are in a year's time, where they're zeroing in on the next World Cup. They're doing 1, 2, 3 in a row.
And listen, I suppose it's just comparing it to that team that won that 2015 World Cup. Like, they just seem so much better than everyone else. Whereas it gives hope to the rest of us.
Yeah, no, it does.
There is a chance. If we get New Zealand, if we did get them this November, we wouldn't have been afraid of them like we were in the past. We would have been an awful lot more expectant.
Yeah, and so where are we in that chasing pack then?
I think we're close. I think we're close to that, to the top. I think we're if we were on UK radio, I think we definitely wouldn't be ahead of them. We're on Irish radio. I think we're neck and neck with England. And I'm really interested to see what happens. I think a big test for Ireland come the final Six Nations game. If both of us are in the same position of managing to win 4 games, and there's a lot of rugby still to be played, obviously. Sure. But I do think an opportunity to go and win in Twickenham against that side would set down a serious marker.
And it would be a big setback for them, because they're not quite firing on all cylinders at the moment. Like, their attack has not delivered on everything else. Like, let's be honest, their set piece always will be solid. Their continuity game is very strong, very physical at the breakdown. Their defence is very good. They have a top-end place kicker in Farrell. So they don't have to play brilliant in attack to beat you. They can still beat you out the other ways. But if they're going to win a World Cup, they're going to have to develop an attack. And that's the one thing at the moment that seems missing out of the jigsaw. This ability to pick teams apart. It's not that they're not trying things, but they're not executing.
Do you think they have the players that can think their way through it?
One of the problems is they have to figure out what their midfield is. And they've yet to figure out. Eddie Jones, the same with Lancaster before him, they never actually figured out what was their best combination at 10, 12 and 13. And it's a good point. I'm not sure that they have the calibre of player needed in those positions that they had way back when they won before.
They have these phenomenal athletes, but I just don't know. I just don't know. Have they got the same thinkers that necessitates winning a World Cup?
Okay,
but that seems to be an issue at the moment.
Just one final thing,
because you watched back the Samoa game.
I did, and they were trying they're trying Slade and Lazowski in the centre, and guys that would only have had a week training together. So, I'm not worried so much about that one, but they didn't have the best November. But one team that I am excited about, and in a weird, perverted way, is Scotland.
Absolutely.
Because we have them in our group. Very impressive what Gregor Townsend has done already. The question marks are around their strength and depth, but them coming to Ireland now, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we can expect to beat comfortably Italy. We'll definitely beat Scotland, definitely beat Wales in Ireland. We'd hope to, but I don't think we can just turn up with any side and do it.
We said our bankers, and I think the way
the
Scotland
Six
plays,
Nations has gotten very exciting now with the emergence of
the last 2 weeks with Scotland
coming in.
have been outstanding.
Just the
way they're playing the game is outstanding.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it just for people who didn't catch it somehow. So they beat Australia 53 points to 24. They did score 7 of their 8 tries after a New Zealand prop was sent off, which is a slight caveat in there. It's their highest points tally ever over Tier 1 opponents. Like Gregor Townsend's stated aim is to play the highest tempo rugby in World Rugby.
Certainly
That's
trying
what he
to do
says.
that.
Right.
They're trying to do that, and I thought before the sending off, the quality of the rugby they were playing was excellent. It was right up there. They were looking to get into the outside channels every chance they got, and if it's defence spread out, they were prepared to go up the middle. They have a really good balance. Look, Townsend has cut his teeth in Glasgow very successfully. He's a Scotsman. He knows all his players. There's that uptick of a new coach coming in, but he has the credentials behind him as a Scotsman, as a played out half for Scotland, and the brand rugby Glasgow played was outstanding.
So he's bringing that template
he's just moving
from
it on,
Glasgow.
you know?
And you have to remember, the vast majority of that Scotland team, or large numbers, are Glasgow.
Absolutely,
so,
and the Edinburgh
and they
guys
completely committed to what he brought to Glasgow in the past. So to bring that into the national team, and then for it to work, getting a win against Australia during the summer, beating them so convincingly this time, nearly getting the job done against New Zealand. All of those things, they are bubbling with confidence.
They're humming coming into the Six Nations. No, as Brian says, the fact they're coming to Dublin is no gimme for us.
There were boos in the U Arena in Paris, where it was 23 points apiece with France and Japan. So France have now won 3 of their 11 tests in 2017, and there was a simple conversion laid on for Japan, which could have made it 25-23, and things would have been very sticky. They're already quite sticky for Guy Noves now. Like you said it last week, the manager sacred cow. They don't like making changes.
They don't in France.
They don't have to.
Tend to let the manager CEO the World Cup. The big one here is what Laporte do. He's the president, and the president is the king, literally. So Laporte could leave things like, because it's the 23. He wants to win the World Cup in 23.
Yeah.
Whether he'll move on Laporte before that, I don't know. But the Six Nations is important to France. And if they have a bad Six Nations, but he's going to go into the Six Nations, what happens?
Do you think? But do you not? Cut your cloth earlier. And why have 2 bad Six Nations in the lead up to a World Cup? Why not look at making a change? Because it's not working.
Oh no, it's not working.
It's not working.
I'm not
so
arguing.
Why wait for another Six Nations?
I'm not arguing
to pass?
Laporte's case. I'm just saying what I think. I'm not arguing Noves' case. So I think what Laporte might do. I can't see him fall on his sword before the Six Nations. Although in most cases it probably would happen. But I think he'll get to Six Nations, and after that we'll see. But there's nothing France are doing at the moment that would worry you in terms of they still have some good athletes and they still have some good individual skills, although not maybe where they were. But they look completely bedraggled as a team. They have no idea what they're at. It's kind of whatever you think next yourself. It's make it up as you go along. And in the modern game, that's just catastrophic. Like nobody, like even the best team in the world, the All Blacks, don't play like that. They play to a shape. They know exactly what they're doing. Like France are just making up as they go along at the moment. And you have to give credit. I watched a good bit of that game, and I thought, Japan were technically very good. They knew what they were trying to do. They had a game plan, and they executed well. But a team like France should not be in trouble against Japan. There's no question or doubt about it.
And we have them first up.
Have we ever gone to Paris so expectant? Ever?
Well,
so
you've been
dangerous,
there a few times.
so
Brian.
dangerous, like thinking this way. But
thing.
We would have gone in hope with some expectation to get a result if we played really well. I think if we play well against this French team, we should absolutely think we'll win.
But the danger for us is French rugby is still a very emotional space. They will come into the Six Nations full of emotion. That emotion could dissipate as the tournament goes on if things go wrong for them, and they could flop. The problem for us is we're the first on the menu.
Yes. So
they will come to our game with just tons of emotion. And French team with emotion, because of their athleticism and their physicality, would be a handful. I prefer to play them later in the tournament.
I still think you need more. You need more in the modern game.
I'm not denying
that. And
that.
against really clever rugby players who have a great defence at the moment, I just feel that they're going to have to
we can
find
pick
so much more than what they've delivered thus far under Noves.
Absolutely.
To be able to live with Ireland that are playing well.
But they're probably their best 80 minutes in the Championship could be their first 80 minutes. That's my worry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're a good team, but the problem is
yeah.
we're playing them in that 80 minutes, so that makes it more difficult for us.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they're in big trouble.
Okay. So Wales, it's kind of like are we now kind of signing up to the general tradition that you just discount what Wales do in November? They just don't seem to.
You never know with them.
So that we'll see what happens in Six Nations. Generally, they get it together.
They never have a good autumn. They've never had a good autumn. Historically, but they've gone on then and have really good Six Nations.
Okay.
So I just think, forget about Wales in terms of their autumn. There'll be a different team come the spring. That's always the case. I don't see that changing. The only thing I think is their age profile is creeping up a bit, and a lot of their key guys, and you just wonder, like
they've got some big injuries too. They've no Orbiton, Jonathan Davis is gone.
Davis is that's a big loss.
George North wasn't playing. Liam Williams didn't play at the weekend. So you get that calibre of player back in, and they're good operators. So Gats, coming back to Ireland, always loves it. Always loves this game. So yeah, they'll again. If you think that you turn up and get the job done against them, you get a jolt.
Well, they would see that would be like a benchmark for their Six Nations to come to Dublin and get a result. They would set that as like this means we're going in the right direction for sure.